So you attribute it to the drugs.
Yeah, well, the drugs gave me this false sense of security. They made me think that I had all the charisma in the world. And to a certain extent, maybe people thought it was. I mean, I was irrational and crazy. There's something super rewarding and refreshing about being in the struggle. When I'm training for the race, I'm like, I have purpose. Yeah. I'm progressing. I'm like ready to go. Yeah. And then it ends and you're like, okay, I did it. Yeah, I'm happy. Definitely happier than if I lost. Yeah. But there is a feeling of relief, like, oh, thank God I can breathe again. I did it.
Yes. By the way, one of the most honest, true answers of all time. Because whatever successes I have or haven't had in my life, that's exactly how it feels. What lie do you think most people believe about themselves that keeps them weak?
They put limits on themselves. They think they can't do certain things. Like, I'm here to tell you, like, you can do anything you want to do.
The catalyst of all, the reason you're sitting here was the decision to get sober, is what it sounds like to me.
100%.
Isn't that bizarre? That the sobriety decision ends up introducing you to this. You weren't a runner?
No.
You were not a runner, bro. And now you're the fastest dude in the world. I gotta tell you, I've been taking IM8 for a while and I've been feeling great. And then life got busy. I skipped some days. Actually, then I skipped a week. My energy dropped, my focus was gone, and it reminded me just how much IM8 had been helping me. It's a daily essentials drink that brings together 92 really high quality nutrients, plus clinical doses of CoQ10 and MSM. You can get everything you need really with IM8. So give your body what it deserves with IM8. Go to im8health.com/Ed and use code ED for a free welcome kit and 5 free travel sachets, plus 10% off your order. Seriously, this is one of those offers you'll wish you jumped on sooner. That's im8health.com/Ed and use the code ED for a free welcome kit, 5 free travel sachets, plus 10% off your order. im8health.com/Ed, code ED. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. So I got to tell you something. My son sent me this man's book and his story, and I knew I had seen him before. I said, I want him on the show. He's like a Renaissance man. His story's bananas. So today is going to be a ride, you guys. And I have to tell you something. Picture this. We're both Boston boys when we were little boys. Both grew up with around a lot of dysfunction. I thought I saw like kind of a brother in him.
Yeah.
Kind of drugs and alcohol everywhere in his family. And then he's got this crazy life. Like he becomes this kind of Wall Street trader guy, Cantor Fitzgerald. Then he becomes an opiate addict, right? So there's that part of the story. Then he starts doing like marathons and ultra marathons. This guy's the fastest dude in the world, over 50 years old, running marathons. He's completed the Gobi March, which was a 155-mile crazy race. And then he's like connected all over the world.
Not just completed, I won it.
Well, he won it. Thank you. Not only did he complete it, he won it. And we were talking about this off camera too, about how he did that. So today it's going to be interesting. If you kind of want to remake your life a little bit later, he's remade his life multiple times. So this is for you. If you're overcoming some sort of thing in your life that's holding you back, it's for you. And if you're young and you want advice from someone who's lived a full, complete life in his early 50s, Ken Rideout's your guy. His book is The Other Side of Hard, and this is going to be a great conversation today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to make sure you do give you credit. You did win the race, so let's make sure that we do that.
I'm teasing you.
No, it's awesome. So I don't do this in most interviews. I have probably like 60 questions, and we're probably only going to get to about 10 of them because there's so many different things I could ask you. But the first thing is this, like when I think of you, I think of like, all right, probably mental toughness is probably the first thing that I think of. How does somebody know, like they're talking about this hard thing. How does somebody know I should quit or I should keep going? Like in a race, in life, after a business? Because not all quitting is bad. So I kind of want to go the antithesis of what's in the book. Someone's listening today, they're thinking of quitting a relationship, quitting a business. How do you know what's quitting and what is pushing through what's hard?
Great question. And to summarize, I would say don't quit. I mean, there is a difference between quitting and knowing when to throw in the towel when you're like losing in business or a relationship in particular, right? You're in a shit relationship. Like you should know, like, all right, but there's a difference between having some intelligence and pushing through and persevering when things are hard, because nothing in your life that's worth attaining is going to be easy. None of the success you've had has been easy.
True.
It's not easy being in shape. It's one of the things that's nice about showing up in shape, like we were just talking about. When you walk in and they're like, okay, this guy's in shape. They know about 10 things about me already that at least I have grit, determination, delayed gratification, and all the things that go with it. But I can tell you that when you quit, you know when you're quitting, and I can tell you from experience, when you quit, the sting of quitting will last with you for the rest of your life. The first time I qualified for the Ironman in Hawaii on NBC Sports, it was so hard to qualify. Only 2,000 people out of hundreds of thousands try to qualify. And it's the best of the best, and everyone's good. And I got there, and I was so happy just to be there. For me, at 40 years old, it was like qualifying for the Olympics.
Sure.
But you qualify in your age group, so it's all relative. And I get there, and it just got hard when I got off the bike. I got onto the run. It was hard, and I just quit like a dead dog loser. My wife was standing there recording the minute I quit. She's recording, yay, go. And I'm like, cut. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm too tired. And she was literally like, what, are you crazy?
Really?
Just keep walking. And I was like, part of me was embarrassed I wasn't doing well. So in my mind, again, this is where you need mental toughness. My mind was telling me, it's okay. You're not going to win. Like, come back again another time. But meanwhile, my wife has like put up with all my selfish training for years. She's like, this is it. After this, you did it. You reached your goal. We're done with this. So I also knew this was probably the last chance she would let me go back and do it again because of the disaster that I created for myself. But that sting of quitting on that day in Hawaii, I get emotional thinking about it now. I'm so ashamed of myself. My wife would say, who are you embarrassed in front of? Myself. And the only opinion of me that matters and that should matter is my own. Because if I don't think highly of myself, why would my wife think highly of me and respect me? And I really, some of this stuff sounds corny and cliche. I get it. But if you don't think highly of yourself, trust me, no one else will either.
Yeah.
You have to be your own biggest advocate.
Let me ask you about, by the way, it's not corny from you. Here's why. Because you've actually done crazy things in your life. I'm being serious. Like, there's a lot of people online or that have books that they say, maybe I'm even one of them, say a bunch of motivational stuff or whatever, but like you've lived this. Like, I'm picturing you in the 143rd mile in this Gobi challenge. Like, I'm picturing this, right? Like, I'm picturing you trying to overcome this addiction. I'm picturing you where several of your friends are blown up in the World Trade Center on 9/11. Like, your life's bananas. So let's stay on this thing about, because I'm a big believer, most of your life, you're going to get what you believe you're worth and you deserve, this identity thing. And you talk a lot about identity in the book. And you and I both come from an upbringing. In fact, I'm talking to you today, I think it's a blessing. Today, as we're recording this, is actually would have been my dad's birthday. And he was a central person in my life of, there was addiction there, as you know, and some other stuff. But I think it's hard for people when you weren't raised being poured into, you're great, I love you, you're incredible, you can do it. Or you don't come from winners. So most people listening to this or watching it relate to that to some degree what you and I grew up with a little bit. And you somehow powered through this where you were not only, in his upbringing, if you read this book, you guys, not only was it not successful, they were pounding into you the reverse that you were great most of the time and doing harm to you. Even your mom, and many times, God bless her, but even your mom. How does somebody begin to, this is a hard question. I'm giving you all the hard stuff today since it's the title of the book. How does someone start to change their identity? They're listening or watching, they're like, I don't feel good about me.
Well, I will say from my earliest childhood memory, I didn't feel like I belonged in this like house of horrors that I was living in, right? I was constantly, they beat the shit out of me all the time. There were always people doing drugs, fighting. It was violent. It was anxiety ridden because even as a kid, I remember thinking like, how am I related to these people? I'm not supposed to be here. And it's crazy. Like if someone believed in reincarnation, they'd be like, oh yeah, he's reincarnated and came from a normal situation and now he's dealing with this. So growing up, I always knew the right thing to do. Like I didn't have any rules. I could come and go as I please. Like my parents weren't like, get in before the lights come down. Like I could stay out all night and do whatever I wanted. But I never did those things. I was like a good kid. I got along with the principal of the school. Like I was the quarterback of the high school football team. I just instinctively wanted a better life for myself, and I was like pretty happy with myself and not arrogant, but I was confident. And as you've seen in the book, then I get into New York, and we'll get to it, and I get addicted to drugs, and all of those positive things that I thought about myself were like stripped away. And I was like, really had a negative self-opinion of myself to the point where I would ideate on suicide, where my addiction was so bad. I was like, if I don't get sober, I'm not living like this anymore because I'm not a loser, but my behavior is that of a loser. And to your point about the book, about giving advice, right? My book isn't a how-to. I'm not telling people, do this, do that. Matter of fact, I say to a lot of people, Don't do what I did. Like, I was a drug addict. I thought money was the answer. I got rich and then became addicted to drugs because it didn't fill the voids that were really there that needed to be dealt with, that I also talk about when I go to on-site trauma healing center. But what I try to demonstrate in the book is like, hey, here's the things that here are all the mistakes I've made, some of them self-induced, or some of the trauma that's happened to me self-induced, and here's how I fixed it. And basically the only through line in this whole book is my mindset and believing that I could do the things I wanted to do. You see me, I'm the most average person in the world. I'm 5'10", 170 pounds. I don't have any natural gifts. I wasn't getting Division I scholarships. I was like a decent athlete. But as I got older and started to emerge from the addiction, I realized that effort counts for so much more than everything else. If you get a guy who's willing to die to win, and it took a while to get there, and I know it can sound like hyperbole, die to win. Yeah, like there's times in the race where I'm like, if I die, I don't think I'm going to die, but I'm not going to give up because I know what that feels like. And that sucked, and I'd rather be dead than feel like a quitter and a loser. So I'm just going to keep pushing, and it became a mantra. And the crazy thing is, it worked.
It works.
It worked. I won a marathon the day before I turned 50, the whole thing, not just my age group.
Jeez. When you walked in, I don't say this a lot in interviews, I really feel like I was meeting, I'm not joking, I kind of like a brother. Yeah. We're about the same size. We come from about the same place. Our upbringing's similar, right? And yet things have turned out. And I think success leaves clues. There's this great Chinese proverb that says, if you want to know the road ahead, ask those coming back. And you and I both, I don't feel like I'm coming back
That's
yet,
right.
but
That's
you know
right.
what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think you have something. I just want to like cut the crap. Like I want to get to something that you know is true about you. I know is true. And I'm wondering if someone can develop it or they're born with it. Here's what it is. You, since you were a little boy, when I'm reading this book, you wanted to be somebody all your life. Like inside you, I want to be somebody. I want to be great. I want to do something awesome with my life. I'm not like these people around me, right? You got that dog in you, right? Can that be developed, or do you and I have that? You know what I mean, right?
I think you can develop it. An example I use is we were talking earlier about fear. And I was watching, my middle son was playing baseball. Every time the pitcher threw the ball, he would step out of the batter's box like he was scared. So I said to him after the game, I go, buddy, if you have to stay in the box, it looks like you're scared. And he goes, I am. And it made me realize, like, I used to be that. I was scared. When I played football, I was a quarterback. I didn't want to get tackled. At some point, though, in high school, while I was playing football, I was getting creamed on every tackling drill we were doing. I was running the ball. And the coach finally said to me, hey, numbnuts, are you just going to take hits on everything, or are you going to run like you mean it? And whatever clicked to me, the next time I ran the ball, like, I'm going to run this guy over. And when I felt what that did for my confidence, it hurt, all those things. But like I would tell him, if you're going to get hit in football, it's going to hurt anyway. Why not deliver the hit and control the fear and harness it for yourself? I know it's not going to be easy. I know a lot of the things that I'm saying are easier said than done, but they have been done, and I did them. But to your question, I was scared all the time as a kid. I talk about in the book going to the Somerville Boxing Club, which, by the way, isn't like the local Thai Bo class in box aerobics. The heavyweight champion of the world was training in there. It was a boxing gym in its rawest, purest form, intimidating. No one was like, oh, buddy, come on in. It's $20 a month. They were like, can you afford to pay? Because if you couldn't afford to pay, it was free. And I went in there scared shitless and just kept going every day, sparring, getting better. The fear never went away. But what I did is, like I said earlier, I just got comfortable with, like, okay, I'm fighting this guy. There's no sense being scared. I'm going to get punched in the face no matter what. You're in a fight, you're going to get hit. And in life, you're going to get hit. You're going to get kicked in the ass. I was just telling you all of the things that I've accomplished. And by the way, when you're rattling off the things I've done, like, I can't believe I did them. I'm like, I did that? There's still part of me that's like, I'm a drug-addicted loser. I did these things. But through all those things, you come out and I'm like, wow, I did this. The book's coming out. The book was like a few months out. All the work was done. And my wife gets diagnosed with cancer. And I would have taken terminal cancer, given away every single thing I have to make my wife healthy in that moment. Thank God it was stage 1. She's all good. She just had her last surgery this week. But the point is, a rich man has a million problems and a sick man has one. And the hard things in life never stop. So if you don't have resilience and the mindset that people like yourself have, you're going to get chopped up. It never gets easy. You could be like, I sold my company for $1 billion. Now what? Okay, let someone get cancer and see how much the money makes you feel better.
This is such a blessed convo, bro. I have to tell you. So I do the podcast a lot where like I kind of just let people listen to me having a conversation. It's not so much of an interview. So I just got to tell you how right you are. And then I can't wait to start asking you about the opioids and the races too. Like, how do you win a 155-mile race? How are you the fastest dude in the world at over 50 in marathons? But the last week I was back in Boston.
Yeah.
Actually, I just tell you this. Back in Boston, and I just had a day that was like not a good one. Like bunch of business stuff happened. A thing I thought was closing, an exit didn't come through and isn't going to happen. And just horrendous day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is hard. Like, and even at my age, I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm in this hotel that I'm in. This is no joke. I'm in the middle of this, like, this is really hard. I'm feeling bad for myself.
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating this, brother. I look out the window, swear to you this is true. And this little girl's walking up the steps into the hotel. And in like kind of her pajamas, she's probably 7, 8 years old. And almost all of her hair had fallen out. And her mother was walking behind her. And so I looked down at the little girl, and she had clearly like a medical bracelet on. This little child, say 7 years old, clearly was fighting some form of cancer. And I thought, you idiot. This is hard compared to what?
Yep.
But by the way, not only just being that child, but even being the parent of that child. So whatever you're going through, it's like, compared to what, right? Like, compared to what? And so it just really struck me that was so profound what you just said, man. Like, it's just pause in life and get perspective.
That's one of the challenges with being a dad, man. You're only as happy as the saddest or sickest child. Very difficult. Very difficult, man. When my kids are struggling, I have an adopted daughter. She's 15. She's Ethiopian. She struggles sometimes with being different, right? Because it's predominantly white. But we have some awesome black families in the neighborhood that are just incredible in Nashville. But it is very hard when she's not like coming to, she's a teenager. She's not going to be like, hey, Dad, listen to what's going on. But I can kind of decipher, and man, when she's struggling, I'm struggling. Then I'll tell my wife, like, I want to go down there and smash everyone. And she's like, are you crazy?
That makes you a good dad, by the way. There's a bunch of dads who aren't even there and don't care. So that's a credit to you.
You're right.
So let's go into a little bit of the story, because I think people are going to be moved. So you end up, he's just a scrapper, you guys. He ends up playing college sports. He's not the biggest dude in the world. He's got success, matriculates over to becoming in the kind of the trading world, the financial world. Now he's doing really well there. So he's found a way to win, because that's what winners do, right? He finds a way. And I think a lot of times in life you think, okay, I'm listening to all these podcasts. I don't come from a great family. I'm not successful. And then you convince yourself you are, right? And then all of a sudden, someone will relate to this today. You have a setback, or you start behaving like where you came from, and you're like, I was just faking it for that little window.
That's right.
But I really am who I grew up with.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, you kind of start to become who you grew up with a little bit, in the sense that now you're drug addicted. Now you're doing opioids. How did that affect you? And then how did you break through it? So I got to tell you, when we started this podcast, we were totally lost. We had no idea what we were doing. Starting a new business can be intimidating, and we didn't know how to do anything. We didn't know how to move merch, how to post online, how to write copyright, how to do anything. I recommend you do what I've done and what millions of other businesses done, and use the tool of Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world. About 10% of all e-commerce Shopify is involved with. That is staggering. They can accelerate your efficiency by uploading new products on there. They can try to exist new ones. They can help you with photography. They can help you with AI tools that write descriptions, page headlines. They basically do everything. So start your business today with the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing. Sign up for a $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/Mylett. Go to shopify.com/Mylett. That's shopify.com/Mylett.
Yeah, I mean, it destroyed me. It destroyed everything that I thought and believed about myself. It crept up on me. I was taking the pills every, a couple times a week, then quickly, like every night. And then I was like so feeling in the morning from taking drugs the night before that I'd take them in the morning. Once I realized that they would give me a little pick me up in the morning, then I was taking them in morning, lunch, and after work. But I would always exercise, and I always treated the drugs as like a reward in this like crazy system that I had in my brain. But even when I got my first job in finance, like I talk about in the book, the guys are like kind of hazing me a little, which was crazy to me at the time. They're like screaming at me, write this. I'm writing the prices on the whiteboard as they're shouting them before electronic trading. It's in like 96. And one of the guys throws a dry eraser at me, and I just slapped him across the face, and they fired me. And I was like, oh, I couldn't control myself. I let my emotions get the better of me. But when that happened, some of the traders at Enron, which was the behemoth in the market, the guy was like the Gordon Gekko, the head of trading there. He was the biggest commodities trader. He heard the story, loved it, and like 2 days later, I had a job making twice as much money, and now he's my client. So that's when my career just went through the roof. Like I went from making 40 grand when I slapped the guy to 80 grand the next week, which to me was $1 million.
Yep.
And then within a year, I was making $1 million, just
That's
like
crazy.
a drunk sailor.
That's crazy.
I mean, I was flying on the Concorde back and forth to London for Canada. I ran all of European and Asian commodity sales and trading, which in that business on a trading desk, we were interdealer brokers. So we were brokering trades between banks and utilities. So you can make a lot of money, but you're on the bottom of the totem pole in terms of Wall Street prestige. So in my mind, and this is how I've like kind of done my career, everything in my career and racing, I'd always look, what's the next level up? Like, what do I have to do to get to the next level? Because this is a good job, but this isn't a good career. If I lose 2 clients, no one's giving you another client. There's only so many traders. So the anxiety of dealing with that pressure and the anxiety of thinking, oh my God, I'm making so much money. What if I lose this money?
Yep.
And the anxiety of having it and losing it was 1,000 times worse than never having it, because I never had. I didn't know what it was like to just spend money and not think about it.
Yep.
And I had an ankle surgery in New York when I was around 30. And from 30 to 40, once I took those drugs, I was like, no more anxiety, no more imposter syndrome, fraud complex. I was just confident.
Really?
And
so you attribute it to the drugs?
Yeah. Well, the drugs gave me this false sense of security. They made me think that I had all the charisma in the world. And to a certain extent, maybe people thought it was. I mean, I was irrational and crazy, but it wasn't me. And I had to live with this, so I would push that down of like, you're a loser. No, I'm okay. I'm making money. It's good. I'm just, like you were saying, I was faking my way through, and I kept feeling like they're gonna eventually figure out that I'm an idiot and fire me, or I'm gonna get run out of this job. I really believed that subconsciously.
Yep.
And it took probably until I was in my late 40s where I would say to my wife, I'd get a deal done or something good would happen financially or professionally. I'd be like, yes. I'm like, oh God, and I could never get a deal done like that again. And I go, I got to make this money last. And she's like, since I've known you, every time you get something good done, you think it's lucky. If you win a race, you think you will lucky. No, all the competitors that showed up stink. Yeah. There was always a reason. She's like, at some point you should believe that like you actually have some acumen to do these things.
Yeah.
And recently I've started to accept
Same here.
Okay, maybe I'm okay at this. But I think I think though for people like you and I really believe this. It's a blessing and a curse.
I do too.
We can't really enjoy it as much as we should. We don't get to walk around like narcissistic idiots like, dude, I'm the best. Look at what I did. Because if we did, we wouldn't be grinding as hard. And I don't want to speak for you, but like I have no natural skills. Like, I have no marketable skills.
Neither do I.
I just have what you're sitting right here.
Yep.
Hustle, grind, attitude. So I can't hold myself in that high regard, but it's a curse in that I don't get to really enjoy it as much as I do. So, but I can't have one without the other.
I know. I think about this a lot because I feel often to this day, which would surprise people in my audience, but I'm open about it, like I'm still fluking it, and then I could lose it tomorrow. But I've asked a lot. I had Sebastian Maniscalco one who's become a good buddy of mine, a comedian.
I love that guy.
I say, hey man, are you afraid you're going to lose this? He goes, yeah, all the time. And I think that's a sense of humility. He's confident that he's a great stand-up and a great actor, but he's humble enough to know that this could go away.
Yeah.
I've seen more people flame out after short-term success than people could imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, even in sales, guys that'll close a bunch of sales and then like 3 weeks in Cabo. I'm like, what are you doing? Do you agree with me? You know what I mean? Or win a race and then not train for 6 months.
Well, it's like when you see someone who sells their company for $100 million, $200 million, and then they're building something even more difficult. And I know people that will be like, if I had that money, I'd drop social media, I'd move over here. But you're not going to make that money because you don't have that mindset.
You don't have that mindset.
Don't get. It's very rare that you get one without the other.
Do you, off the record, well, on the record, but not on my questions, when you see a guy like, because as we're recording this, Tiger just went through something, and it's probably pretty clear that he's developed some sort of. I mean, I hate to speak out of
he's
school,
obviously
but I
addicted
think
to drugs.
he's
I mean, look at him.
he's addicted,
You
right?
can see the pictures of him.
You're right. He's certainly, and by the way, there's a part of me that has some empathy coming from a family of addiction, knowing, hey, this dude's had 150,000 back and knee surgeries, and these things do feel good for some people when they take them, and so, he may have sort of just developed this for pain in the beginning. So I have empathy for him at the same time.
I'm sure he's in a ton of pain.
But if someone was listening to this and they've developed some sort of an addiction in their life, their addiction could be worry, their addiction could be drugs, porn, it could be gambling, it could be alcohol, it could be their addiction to not believing in themselves, whatever it is. But if Tiger walked in here right now, everybody else, what would you say to them about breaking that cycle of addiction?
Yeah, I would say to anyone who thinks they're going to help him, like, there's only one person that's helping Tiger. That's him. But it has to come from within. It's a recovery saying, but you just get sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. He's got a bad deal in that he's got a lot of injuries, but for what it's worth, he's obviously abusing drugs, but I'm sure he's telling himself he needs them. But I think that he's not as deep in a hole as others would think. Like, if you're walking around with 2 single pills in your pocket, like, that isn't like an addiction that you're like, oh my God. Like, if he had 50 fentanyl pills, I'd be like, yeah, he's deep in this. But 2 pills, like, I mean, that for a drug addict, that ain't gonna move the needle.
But you don't know how many he took
that
were in the pocket before that.
Right, but if he took 8 and he had 10, he would have taken them all.
Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking is that if he's carrying around 2, he probably thinks 2 will offer some relief. It might not be that deep, and it can be fixed. But there's only one way to do this, and that's to walk through the fire, or you're just gonna keep burning slowly. It's getting sober was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Nothing in the book even comes close, including my childhood, to dealing with that addiction. Wow. Your brain is so conditioned to want and need this that you can't fathom a life without it. But it's like the Gobi March race or any other difficult challenge. You just have to start the journey. It's like if you see someone overweight and they start to see a little bit of progress, they can gain momentum. It starts to get a little bit easier. The ball's rolling downhill. It's the same thing with recovery. Just get 1 day of sobriety. Don't worry about the next day.
Yep.
Because you get 1 and then you're like, I did 1. I bet you I can get another one. And it's like anything in life. You have to build some confidence in yourself. But the first step is always so hard.
Yep. By the way, my audience, because they know my work, is going to say that's the power of one more. More day.
Yes.
One decision, 1 day at a time. I think a lot of times people think like, oh, success is this huge mountain I got to climb.
Nope.
But I've had enough people, and this is why I want to listen. Why are you here today? Once I read your story, I was like, oh my gosh, right? Like with your upbringing and the opioid addiction, and you were a trader, and this and that. But the reason you were here is where we're going to go now for me. I'm like, okay, this dude is a world-class athlete, right? And it developed late in life. You were a good athlete. You're 5'10", you played college sports, but there's nothing about you that would say this dude's going to be running mega ultra marathons, 150 miles, and he's going to be the fastest dude in the world.
Yeah.
Like, so everyone buckle in here now, because you don't know at what point in your life you become great at something finally. Like great. Like you're a good athlete, really good athlete. You're very good in business, but there were better business dudes,
100%.
right? Guys making more money. But at this, you found something, you're like, this is my jam. What's crazy is I can't find any evidence in the book that there was a lot of preparation physically for this.
No.
So how do you start? Let's start. How does a dude go, yeah, I'm going to start running marathons? Like, what happened?
I didn't. I was like, I'm going to get sober and I'm going to like run every single day to get these drugs out of my system, even though I want to die. I mean, I was running and sweating and freezing, and like I'd go through 100 different like ecosystems. Although I'm running in Central Park, I'd feel like I've run on the top of a mountain, down in Death Valley. Like my body was just in chaos mode. So part of it was penance, like I'm gonna run until I die. And I just wanted to get away from the pain. And there was part of me that was like, I'm running because when I'm running for 90 minutes at least a day, I'm not thinking about getting high. I'm thinking about one thing, getting this over with. When people are like, did you get a runner's high? I'm like, yeah, every single time. As soon as I stopped, I was like, yes, I did it. But I didn't have any designs on winning anything. I was like, I'm just going to run and get sober. And then I started to enter some races because nothing keeps you honest like a competition. Just races in Central Park. There's races every weekend for people in New York. It's the best place to be a runner in the world because they have everything you need. And I would just enter races. And I mean, dude, if I was in the top 20 in my age group, I'd be like, wow, look at Shell. I tell my wife, look, I ran under 7-minute mile in this 1 mile. I would end up running the marathon at 5:39 per mile for 26, which at the time seemed crazy. But you can't beat the guy who was willing to die to win. And as I started to get a little bit of positive reinforcement in terms of the results and seeing the improvement, so I was running. Then my legs started bothering me, so I bought a bike. I didn't know anything. But I was like, oh, these guys, there was a guy in my office who was like talking about he's a great bike rider. And I was like, I'm going to get a bike. These guys are really good. I'll try to ride with them. And when I rode with them, I was like, either these guys stink or I'm pretty good at bike riding. Wow. But I'm not nearly as far down as I thought I was. I mean, it was probably a combination of both. But I started riding I ended up training with Lance Armstrong. We did a friggin' race together on the same team. Like I did crazy things.
Are you hearing you?
I know it's
no, but really, I know when you write a book, you kind of almost forget.
Yeah.
Like, are you hearing you?
Yeah.
Bro, like, let's just unpack a couple things here really quick. There's such a huge lesson in how you ended up doing this. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, I've morphed it into my own thing, but I teach this. He says, if you can survive temporary pain, on the other side of that pain, you get introduced to your other self. And when I speak, I'm going to say it today when I speak, I'm a big believer that God gives you access to parts of yourself you never knew about when you go through pain. Like my speaking ability on stage was developed because I had to learn to talk to my dad when he was drunk.
Yeah.
And I didn't know at the time, but God was saying, if you'll survive this time in your life, you're going to unveil a gift of yours.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, everyone listening or watching, it may be the pain you're going through and how you get out of that pain that could be a revelation to you of a new talent, a new gift, a new relationship. You're one decision away from changing your life. Yeah. For you, the catalyst of all, the reason you're sitting here was the decision to get sober, is what it sounds like to me.
100%.
Isn't that bizarre? That the sobriety decision ends up introducing you to this. You weren't a runner?
No.
You were not a runner, bro. And now you're the fastest dude in the world.
Well, it's a combination of other people start to slow down who might have had running success early in
Don't
their
be
life.
humble. You did not grow up on the track team. You did not run college cross country or track.
Didn't know anything about it.
You weren't running marathons in your 20s. No. You weren't doing any of this stuff. No. And now you're the fastest man in the world over 50 years old.
Yeah.
Like, just let that soak in. And it happened because you were a drug addict and got sober. That's nuts.
Well, I always say that, like, the hardest things in your life are where all the gifts are found. And I, like, slapping the guy in the face. Like, I was like, oh, my God, I've lost my job. I'm screwed. I'm going to have to go home. I didn't have, like, 2 nickels to rub together. I didn't have, like, a nest egg. I was making money, paying the bills. I barely had enough to pay my rent and student loans. And then I had, like, maybe $100 left over for the month. Building up credit card debt, just believing something's going to happen and I'm going to make money. But I had no roadmap. No one was like, oh yeah, once things start to work, you'll make a shitload of money. It will happen quickly. So I was just like having blind faith, and the same thing with the running. I was just running and like training, but I never identified myself as a runner. I was like, I'm just like I'm exercising. And even like in Eastbound and Down, that Kenny Powers TV show, when the guy's like, oh, I do triathlons, and he said, do you do triathlons? And the guy goes, no, man, I play real sports. I'm not trying to be the best at exercising, which always makes me laugh, because then I always say, like, yeah, I'm the best exerciser in the world. But the point is, I was toiling in darkness and anonymity for so many years, and then all of a sudden I started to win a couple bigger races, the Malibu Half Marathon. My times just kept getting faster and faster. But to your point about not knowing anything about running, I didn't even have a coach. I worked my way down to a 2:33 marathon and won a handful of races without ever having a coach or a structured training plan. All I did was run a minimum of 10 miles a day in the hills in Malibu. It's funny because Reggie Miller gave me a quote for the book, and I'd see him on his mountain bike. We'd be the only 2 people out in this like desert-looking mountain, and we'd be riding. He'd be riding up the hill. I'd be running. You're going about the same speed up, on a mountain bike. And we just struck up a friendship. And people were like, "How do you know Reggie?" I'm like, to be honest with you, the only time I see him is when we're training. Crazy. And then he gave me an awesome quote for the book. But I was just there working and not having a goal of winning races. It's just, I just worked so hard that they couldn't deny that I was better than that I was faster than most people.
What? So yeah, but then you do decide to start. You want to win.
Then once I get a taste for that, then I'm like, what's next? I start looking at every race. I'm like, I'm looking for the races that don't have prize money because those attract like real pros. And like, I'm not a professional runner. I mean, a professional runner is running like under 205, right? I'm running 228. So I start looking at all the local races that don't have a prize person. I'm like, I just start showing up at races and winning. And I won a big one in 2019. 19 or 20, right before COVID, at the Pasadena Half Marathon at the Rose Bowl, and it was like 8,000 people, and it's winding through Pasadena. I'm like, holy shit, I'm leading. There's a motorcycle in front of me, and I turn and come into the Rose Bowl, and there's probably like 100 people in there, but it's finishing in the Rose Bowl on the field, live on the news, and the announcer like, here he comes, here's doing. Oh my God, he's 48 years old.
That's so crazy.
That's crazy.
Come on. So what point when you're doing a marathon or an ultra marathon or an Ironman, there's a point, I think, I've never done them, so I'm speculating, but there's a point where like the quit question must come up.
Every second, every step of the way, I'm thinking of like almost like in real time, looking at all the systems checks, like on a fighter pilot looking at all the monitors, like how's the oil pressure, like I'm evaluating myself every step of the way. And early in the marathon, I'm like, all right, am I going too hard? Let me check the pace. You got to really manage the effort. And marathon takes a lot of experience because you can easily go a step too fast for the first few miles and end up like walking to the finish line. And I've never had to walk, but I have like blown myself up in some races, a big one in Berlin where I friggin' blew an easy win there. But the whole time I'm wrestling with that thought of like, oh, my ankles, I tweaked my ankle. Should I stop? The whole time this is like this. The difference in as you get more experience is the voice that's telling you to quit becomes smaller and smaller. When you first do a race, you're like, this is really hard. I don't know if we can do it. And this guy's like, you can do it. But now the two voices in my head is like, one's like this huge alpha lion, and the other one is like a chihuahua, like, oh, we should stop. And this one's like, rrr.
But you're aware there's two voices.
100%.
This is important. So everybody should know.
As soon as I hear those self-doubt or feel that self-doubt, I'm like, what the F is wrong with you? Everything good in your life has come from grinding. Nothing good happened when I took the easy road.
Dude, I'm wanting to read through a wall right now. What lie do you think most people believe about themselves that keeps them weak?
They put limits on themselves. They think they can't do certain things. Like, I'm here to tell you, like, you can do anything you want to do. There's, especially for sales guys. I'm sure a lot of sales guys watch your content, right? And I would tell you this: if you're just a sales guy and I know my product really well, and I'm gonna buy the guy a steak dinner, like no one gives a shit about that. Like, I would pay you to not take me out. Just tell me what you're gonna do for me. However, if you can be interesting, every sales guy will have a handful of clients, right? Some of those clients are going to be into things that you might be into. It might be golf. Be a scratch golfer. Like, have something that you're special at. You could be a nerd. Maybe you're into Dungeons and Dragons. One of those people you're selling to could be the biggest Dungeons and Dragon dweeb in the world. Tell that guy you know everything Dungeons and Dragons. Right. But you have to have something unique and something differentiating yourself from other salespeople. And it's not just that you know the product the best and you get the best prices. Like, there's been many times in my life where I'm like, I don't even care what the price is. I just don't want to deal with you. Or I like you so much, I want you to make some money. Just tell me what the right price is and make sure you're making some money on it, right? If you like the guy selling you something, guy's selling me a diamond ring. I'm like, look, I don't know anything about diamonds. Do me a favor. Don't embarrass me in 2 months when I bump into a buddy who knows diamonds and I'm like, this is the ring I got. What's the deal look like? I said, I like you, so build in some profit, but don't get rich off me. I think too. Like, right? Get me a little bit over time. Don't get me all at once. Yeah. And it's like,
That's so true.
Same thing with car dealers. I'm like, buddy, make some money, but don't make me the sucker of the month.
Right. That's exactly how I feel. I want you to make some money, but don't make it all on the first one.
Right.
How do you know? Okay, so I thought of you. I'm like, this is kind of my version of Goggins a little bit. You are. And Goggins has been on the show. I love David, and we speak at probably 3 events a year together. Yeah. So I not only know Goggins, I know David.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful man. Most people don't know David's actually a really kind, good person and a good friend. And in fact, I saw versions of him like at his birthday that he's actually a really sweet, good man, which is completely contradictory to Stay Hard. But hard's in the name of your book too. But one of the things, so having said all that, someone that I admire very much, David, sometimes I worry about my friend there that he's addicted to pain more than even growth sometimes. I say that with love and respect and admiration. I want to be clear. That a lot. What about you? And what about that concept? There are some people that do grind forever because they've become addicted to grinding and pain and not just the growth and the reward of it.
I got you. I know exactly what you're saying. And to the people that say, like, you traded one addiction for another, I say, yes. One addiction had me suicidal and feeling like a loser, and the other addiction has me sitting here talking to you about my book. I have 4 children. Like, David, we have a lot of similarities, but we have some major differences, right? Like, I live with my 4 children. Like, they watch everything I do. I can't be hard all the time. Like, there has to be a balance with the things that I'm doing too, right? Like I have a job. Like I interact with people all the time, and it's funny when I meet people who only know me through like the book or podcasts. Similar reaction. They're like, "Oh, you seem much more relaxed and sensible." I'm like, "No one is a. I don't know what perception I'm putting out there. Like a lot of times I'll say to my wife, I'm like, I think these people think I'm someone that I'm not. It's like a little bit unsettling at times because I'm like, I think they're expecting me to like come in and like start punching people or something. I'm like, I genuinely like love people. I'm like, a lot of it is a defense mechanism. If I'm super aggressive, maybe people won't like get too close to like hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Which,
really?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm super sensitive, so much so that I'm like, I got to tell you about all my weaknesses before you find out about them. So that was part of the book is like, here's all the mistakes I made.
You do a lot of that in the book.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is like my own form of therapy. It's like, these are the worst thing that's ever happened to me, and the only way I can get comfortable with them is just to talk about them. And like in the book, I talk about in high school, I'm playing quarterback, last game of the season. We end up tying the game, but we should be winning, and I'm not playing well. And all of a sudden, I hear the crowd, Rideout sucks. Right. Dude, I was suicidal for like 3 months. I was like, I'm going to kill myself. I can't believe that the whole crowd was chanting, I suck. But to an 18-year-old brain that doesn't have a lifetime of experience, that to me was like, I can't believe they really think I suck. Like, I didn't think I sucked. I wasn't playing good, but I suck. And what it was probably a couple and then everyone was like, ha ha, let's do this, not realizing like the damage that it did to me at the time. I mean, now I can laugh about it, but man, that really hurt my feelings at the time.
You're making me think, I have this debate often with Andy Frisella, who's my business partner in Arate, my coaching program.
Oh yeah, I like that too.
And Tim Grover's a great friend, and we debate something together often. And John Gordon's a friend who's taken kind of the other side. And so these debates we have is, to be successful, I think this will probably be an Instagram clip right here I'm about to ask you about. But to be successful, do you leverage what Grover would probably call the dark side? Leverage the dark side, meaning you're moving away from something. I'm going to prove these people saying Rideout sucks wrong. I'm going to prove my family wrong. Yeah. I'm going to move away from the pain of being not 6'3" and whatever. So you leverage that pain, you leverage the dark side, right? That's one mechanism for motivation and inspiration. And that Tim believes that's something like what Jordan or Kobe would do, or Brady, or they would leverage that. And then there's the other side, which is you could be chasing something. Instead of moving away, you're chasing the dream, the pleasure. You're leveraging how great it's going to be when you cross the finish line to win. So there's these two polar opposite mechanisms that can drive us, right? Which do you use more of, and which do you think is healthier and more effective?
I try not to let other losers impact my life. So I have done a very good job of blocking out the like, I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm like, you're already wrong, because anything you think negatively about me, you're wrong. I know I'm like a good person. I know I'm a good dad. So I'm chasing the validation of being like, I'm chasing my own goals. And it's like anyone who's talking bad about you or thinking negatively or trying to like hoping for the worst for you, like those people have nothing going on in their lives. I'm not trying to appease or prove haters wrong, because those people, anyone who's got time and energy to hate other people, they're losers. Like I genuinely am like, I feel bad for you. Like I wish I had enough time to scroll Instagram and leave terrible comments about people. Like, how bored are you? Like, so some guys did it the other day. I had Oz Perlman on, Oz the Mentalist, and the guy wrote in the comment, can I curse here?
Yeah.
The guy wrote, this loser. And I assumed he was talking about Oz, but so my comment was like, "F you, dude, you're a loser." He wrote back like, "This guy lied about selling books," and then sent me a DM like, "He did this, he did that." I go, "Buddy, do you realize how stupid you sound leaving a comment like that?" I said, "How about this? The next time you want to talk about someone you don't know, leave 3 comments, super kind comments for strangers, and watch how much better your life gets." By the end, the guy was like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that."
Yep.
And he followed me too. I'm like, "Dude, if you're following me and talking to people like that, we have nothing in common."
Yeah.
And I tell my kids that all the time. I say, you can't worry about the people that aren't those people. There are certain people that aren't going to like you no matter what you do. They're not going to like you because they're not you. You could walk on water and they're going to tell you it's because you can't swim. Those people exist. So I'm always chasing like again, I don't have all the answers. Some of it is a validation. I want people to like love me and think I'm great, and I want to love myself.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely more chasing the win than trying to like distract myself with the opinions of idiots. The people that love me want me to win.
Yeah.
And they're happy when I win.
You have something to know. I'm always trying to like get to the bottom of it. I said earlier, you got that dog in you, like you want to be somebody really bad. You also run pretty hot.
Very.
You're intense.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people lack certain elements of being successful, and it's just invisible to them. They're just oblivious because it's not talked about a lot.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know what I'm missing. It seems like I got them all dialed in.
Yeah.
And one of them, if I'm being honest, like I've had 900 guests on the show. The real winners, they run a little hot. They walk a little faster. They talk a little faster. It's a blessing and a curse. You and I were talking about our UFC friends. Like, just speak to that just for a second. Like, you probably take for granted that you're that way. But do you know when you meet someone, be honest, who doesn't have that thing?
Oh my God, yeah. I was just talking to one of my business partners, and he was asking. We represent a lot of scientists, doctors, and thought leaders through my agency, and they're like, "Hey, this particular doctor, here's his credentials." I go, "Dude, he's a super nice guy, but he doesn't have it." I've spoken to him a few times, and I'm like, something's missing here. I don't know what it is. It's not a bad thing. It's just like, I'm like, there's nothing that's magnetic about him. I'm not like, "Dude, tell me, what are your thoughts on NMN? What are your thoughts on peptides?" Like, I'm just like, all right, if I get a cold, I'll give you a call. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? It's not
What do you think it is?
There's some sort of dynamic element of people that they just have. I used to think, and I was talking to my buddy Rob Moore, who produces Andrew Huberman's podcast, and he produces my podcast, and he's like, he's one of my most important friends. He really understands everything. For years, I was like, I want to write a book. He's like, I wouldn't do it yet. Like, you still have things to do. I don't know what it is. And he would always tell me, no. And even introducing me as a podcast guest for some of the big shows that he has relationships with, in particular, Rich Roll, which was the first big one I did. He's like, not yet. He's like, I don't know. We'll get there. And it was like years. And I was so frustrated. I'm like, he knows these people. He could get me on. I know I have an interesting story to tell. But I took my time and I did it the way he suggested. And everything worked when it was supposed to work. But I would say to him, like, tell Rich, like, tell him I'm really interesting. I have an interesting life. And he's like, I don't think that that's the selling point for you. He said, I think that the most important thing about you is you're interested in other people. He's like, you genuinely seem to be interested in everything. And it's true. Like, even you could tell me you're into Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, explain it to me. Like, what am I missing? I think of it as like a nerd game, but you know, the people who are into it are like, yeah, I don't care if it's a nerd game. And there's something about someone being confident. Like, I don't care if you think it's a nerd game. I like it.
Yes.
Like, be yourself.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think the it thing is like, I don't know if it's like laser focus and they have a different frequency about them. They vibrate a little bit differently. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know when I see it and I know when I don't.
You know what I like to think? If we're neighbors and friends, and I'm like, and again, this has to do with my upbringing, because my wife is like, when would that ever happen? I'm like, Ed, so-and-so's coming to my house to fight me. He's bringing his buddies. I need you to get over here. Yeah. There are some friends that are going to be like, I'll call the cops. And there's other friends that'll be like, I'll be right over with no questions asked. And my wife's like, no one's coming to fight you. I'm like, you never know. I want to know who's going to come and help me and who's going to be hiding under the bed.
Yeah, it's a perfect example, by the way. And they don't have to have all the info.
Yeah,
well, why or what? They're just there.
Exactly. Like the scene from The Town where he's like, you can't ask me any questions. We're going to hurt some people. And the guy's like, whose car are we taking?
It was exactly what I was just thinking.
Those are the people that I grew up with in Boston. Like,
same here. Maybe that's why I like you. Okay, let me ask you this. We don't have too much more time. This has been so good. I feel like it's flying by the way. But what's it feel like to win? Everyone listening to this is like, hey, I want to run whatever my metaphorical race is in my life. What's it like to win?
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint everyone because when I won the world championships in Chicago, I call my wife. By the way, I go to all the races by myself because it's business. Like, I don't take my wife on business trips, right? So, and I'm a maniac. I'm very moody. I just
Hard to be around.
I go to whatever city it is. I rent the best hotel so I can be comfortable, relax. So staying at the St. Regis in Chicago. Win the race, I get finished. I look up the results, like, yep, I won the age group. I call my wife. I'm like, I did it. I won the age group. And she's like, oh, great. Now, I had been trying to win my age group in all the major marathons: Boston, New York, Chicago, London, Berlin, and Tokyo. And I had won all except Berlin and London. So in Chicago, she's like, oh my God, you did it. Great, great, great. I'm like, no. This race was the world champion, the age group world championship. She's like, oh my God, and starts to get emotional. She's like, how happy are you? I'm like, I feel just relieved. I'm just so glad it's over. Probably be like selling your company and you're like, yeah, I'm happy I got the money, but there's like almost like a bittersweet ending to like, there's something super rewarding and refreshing about being in the struggle. When I'm training for the race, I'm like, I have purpose. Yeah. I'm progressing. I'm like ready to go. Yeah. And then it ends and you're like, okay, I did it. Yeah, I'm happy. Definitely happier than if I lost. Yeah. But there is a feeling of relief, like, oh, thank God I can breathe again. I did it.
Yes. By the way, one of the most honest, true answers of all time. Because whatever successes I have or haven't had in my life, that's exactly how it feels.
I want to jump around and be like, I did it. Yeah. Yes. But I'm like, I did it. It's kind of like a guy scoring a touchdown and just hands the ball to the ref. You're just like, yeah, I did it. I knew I could. I trained like this.
It almost feels like you've been there before.
I won this 6 months ago in the pissing down rain or in the snow in Nashville. Like I did. I've already suffered.
Yeah, you did the suffering.
This was a beauty pageant.
Yeah. By the way, that's why preparation matters so much. So Huberman, who you were talking about earlier, I just saw him on something not too long ago, and he actually said they've proved now by tracking dopamine, as I understand this, in the brain, and that even in a race or in an achievement, that you're getting a greater dopamine hit during the pursuit than when you actually cross the finish line. And in fact, it dramatically falls off a cliff after you win. So you've actually described, by the way, which I like, because sometimes people are like, it's the greatest thing in life in the world. And it, there's been moments in my life where that's been true, but very rarely, because you're probably not going to win if you don't expect to be there. That's right. And you were winning during that suffering of running in the rain. So good. This is such a great combo. Okay, last question, and then I want to promote the book one more time, because the book's like, I told you, I read it in a day. Yeah. And it's not short. I don't know, is it 200 pages, 220, something like that? It's, by the way, the name of the book, you guys, is The Other Side of Hard, but I read the whole book. Yeah. I didn't skim it. I read it because it was that good. But someone's listening to this today and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm listening to a dude who's done crazy things in his life. Yeah. You're kind of like the Dos Equis man a little bit. Like the most you are. By the way,
it's the best compliment anyone's ever given me.
Well, the other thing too, for those of you that are on audio and not on video, he's also ripped. So he's being really humble about the fact that, he's 5'10", and I think he's probably 5'9.5". But he's ripped, and he is a billboard of what he teaches, right? Yeah. But someone's listening to this, they're like, dude, I want to have in my life before it's over, I want to cross my finish line, and I'm kind of lost. Yeah. Maybe I've even had a couple losses lately, and I got to get started doing something. What would your advice be? That's a hard question, but that's why I put it last. Like, what would your advice be to somebody who says, look, man, I admire you, and I want at least a piece of my life to feel like I think what you're doing and what you feel.
I tell everyone, keep showing up, keep going, meaning you have to take the first step, and you can't look for other people to give you external validation. You don't need cheerleaders, and you don't need motivation. And it's, again, sounds corny. I know everyone says it. You need discipline. Fucking discipline is whispering in your ear at 5 a.m. when it's snowing out and you only have an hour to get this work in. Mm-hmm. Get up and do it. And guess what? If you don't do it, no one cares. Mm-hmm. And no one will care if you don't show up and do anything. But the person whose opinion you should be trying to satisfy is your own. You know if you're doing the work. So I wish there was an easy answer, but it's like Jocko's book, taking extreme responsibility. You have to take extreme responsibility for yourself. You're only doing this once. Your physique, the way you take care of yourself, that's a byproduct of hard work. but that tells another person everything they need to know about you. No one wants to do business with someone who comes in all disheveled and sloppy and they look like they don't care about themselves. Your mental and physical health is your number one responsibility in the world. It has to come before even your family, because if you don't take care of yourself, they're going to take care of you. That's my biggest fear, is that my children have to like worry about me. I want to be like the pillar of strength until I can't do it anymore. And to me, that's like much later in life. And I want them to recognize that their dad was there, showing up, honoring himself, and showing up with confidence, and showing up like a dad is supposed to. Like, that's my dad over there. If there's any problems, my dad's going to settle it. And it's not about being tough, but it's like taking responsibility for yourself in a way that looks like, yeah, I care deeply about the things that are important to me. And there is no bigger. We all have that responsibility from the cradle to the grave. No one can tell you, Ed, to go work out today. No one can tell you what to eat for breakfast. If you want to have pancakes with whipped cream and sugar, be my guest. But after a couple of days of that, you're going to start to look like someone who eats like that. And to me, I'm like, this is the easiest win in the world. Take care of yourself.
I'm sorry. We're going one more. I'm trying to pick it apart. That was such a great answer. You've mentioned your family and your kids a lot of times.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, when you are at that quitting point, because I think this is a huge lesson in the race, do you flash to them?
Of course.
What do you think?
I think I've made so many mistakes, and I'm far from a perfect dad. I get very emotional and scream at people and like a monster. Who left this damn milk out? How many times I gotta tell you? Who left the garage open? So when I'm thinking about things like that, because to me those are the easy wins. I have time to think. This is happening. The way I behave in the next couple minutes is going to dictate a lot of how the rest of the week and month goes. And I love these kids, man. They're like they if I've done anything right in my life with my children, is making them proud. My daughter sometimes, when she was just becoming a teenager, would be like, "Dad, you don't have to drive me all the way to the front of the school. You can leave me over here." And I was like, "Tensei, if I get the impression that you're embarrassed of me, I will get out, hold your hand, walk you into the classroom, and kiss you on the lips. Don't tell me." But my son, she doesn't do that anymore now, because with the book, she's like, "Dad, all my friends want to come over for a signed book." And my sons will be like, I was dropping them at a party, and my son said, "Dad, can you come in and meet Rashva's dad?" And I was like, I said you could go. Like, you don't need my permission. He's like, no, the dad wants to meet you. Yeah. And I was like, this is the greatest thing, like the greatest gift. Actually, you know who lives around the corner from me? It's a funny dad story. Alan Richmond, Reacher, who just beat up the guy.
Just beat up the guy on the street. Yeah.
I saw him the next day at that thing, and I'm like, Alan, you're my hero. I go, the restraint that you showed, like, that was the perfect dad moment. The guy's like attacking you in front of your children, and you show restraint, and then finally crack his ass, but don't hurt him. I was like, this is like how dads should behave. Buddy, please don't do this. The kids, stop it. And then the guy's like, "Hey, this is what happened." Then Alan releases the video, his body cam, which thank God he had. And it's like, buddy, that's not at all what happened. You completely instigated that, shoved him off his motorcycle.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, most stuff with their kids is caught, not taught. And by the way, that is a great example of what he did right there. But I don't think enough people, when they're thinking of quitting or pushing, link their love for their family. Because if your love for your family is greater than your fear or the pain you're going through, that can be the leverage, the catalyst that keeps you to keep pushing through. And I knew that's what you did during your
When
races.
I was a kid, all I wanted was a normal family. I wanted my family to be the family I have now. So when I think about my children now, I can be a bit of a maniac with them, but it all comes from love, and they know that. And it's like, I try not to spoil them, but they also like have way too many pairs of Air Jordan shoes, and my wife would be like, "No more shoes." And I'm like, because as a kid, that was my like validation. I was like, I want to have nice shoes. So like, I just subconsciously, I like maybe spoil them a little bit.
You become the dad you didn't have, bro.
That's exactly right. And I've created the life that I dreamed I could have, and I can't believe it's happened.
I'm real happy for you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
This really was good.
Thanks, man.
You know it was, too. You guys enjoy this today? This is what it's like to win, you guys. It's what it's like to change your life. The other side of hard. That's Ken Rideout. Share today's episode, you guys. This was so good. This is the real stuff. God bless you. Max out.